Hi everyone, I am 𝐬𝐿𝐮 and welcome back to my channel. In today's episode of Our Life Beginnings and Always, we are going to be continuing with step 3 and where we left off with 𝐸𝐿 and his dad out in the thing. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe and share this video with your friends so that they can find amazing videos just like you right now. So yeah, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy. Oh my god, I have missed recording. I've been dying to record since yesterday when I recorded my last video. But yeah. Okay, so as soon as you were outside your front door, you couldn't help but see 𝐸𝐿 and his dad standing around the road. They noticed you too. Hey there, Mina. Hi, good timing. You should come join us. Oh, because oh no, not in front of his dad. Give him a high five. 𝐸𝐿 seemed amused when you leaned in and raised your hand, waiting for him to meet you. He laughed. He slapped your hand before you could make a comment about him leaving you hanging. You noticed Mr. Holden was taken in the scene of you and 𝐸𝐿 with a self-satisfied smile. 𝐸𝐿 followed your line of sight and shot his dad an unimpressed look. For a moment, Mr. Holden seemed like he had a thought dancing on the tip of his tongue, but decided to keep it to himself. So, what are you up to today? As far as I know, nothing too much. Me and 𝐸𝐿 are meeting some friends in town later. Oh yeah, we're gonna be meeting Miranda and Terry, I think. Sounds like a plan to me. Yawning, Mr. Holden stretched his arms over his head. My boy and I have just been weighing around to see what the new neighbors are like. There's a new neighbors? What? It was definitely his idea. I don't know how you're not impressed in this. It's big news. Besides, it'd only be polite to greet the new folks in town. Say that. For several moments, Mr. Holden was unable to answer. He was laughing and slightly shaking his head. You might be onto something. 𝐸𝐿 put a reassuring hand on his dad's shoulder. You could still make the most of your life before it's too late. How old do you think I am? I'm not that old. Okay, maybe I am. Oh my god, I love this family. Mr. Holden took one more glance at the currently vacant building and sighed dramatically. When he turned back to you and 𝐸𝐿, his whole body seemed deflated. There's no sign of them, and I still need to head over to work soon. 𝐸𝐿 gave his dad a few reassuring pats on the back. Okay, I promise to keep an eye out for them. I can text you if anything happens. Really?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. I mean, only until I have to meet up with Terry and Miranda. Would that still work? With a wide grin breaking out on his face, Mr. Holden looked absolutely thrilled to have his nosiness enabled. That works! He moved to firmly place both hands over 𝐸𝐿's shoulders, fixing his child with a firm stare. Son, you are my true ally in this world. Oh, they're so sweet. Oh my god. Mr. Holden stood up straight, letting 𝐸𝐿 go. He looked reinvigorated. I don't know how to say the word. Okay, with that settled, I'll go make some money. That's always been the one thing I do best. Oh my god, Mr. Holden. Mr. Holden headed off to the garage with a big wave goodbye. 𝐸𝐿 smiled the whole time you both watched his dad leave. Let's be real. Mr. Holden's one of our favorite oh my god, favorite people. He always tried his best and was honestly just great. As soon as he was out of sight, 𝐸𝐿 sighed lightly. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, just not looking forward to waiting. Guess I'll be hanging around the street a while. Should we leave or should we stay? I can wait with you. You wouldn't abandon 𝐸𝐿 there to wither on the road out of boredom. Really? Of course, I like keeping you company, remember? He stared at you a moment, smiling softly and thinking about a response. Oh, hold on. No, go back! He stared at you a moment, smiling softly and thinking about his response. I like that too. 𝐸𝐿 put his hands on your shoulders. His thumbs absent-mindedly moved in a soothing circle. The look in his eyes was much firmer. He was serious. Mia, you're my true ally in this world. I got a fair amount of chuckles from you. He grinned, the dogtism fading into amusement. You're always good to me. It's no problem. I don't know about that, but I'm just happy you're always here. The smile on his face reached his eyes and it made you feel electric. And then he let go of you. Cove stepped over to his French porch steps lazily, taking a seat and leaning back on his arms. Our watch begins. Nodding in agreement, you joined Cove on the French porch steps. You both sat there in a comfortable familiarity, oh my god, as you settled in for the waiting game of the lieutenants. The neighborhood was quiet and you sighed contentedly, closing your eyes and feeling the light breeze. The only sound you could hear was the familiar jingle of Cove's wind chime. After all these years, it was still there, adorning the entrance outcropping of his house. Eventually, you both perked up at the sound of a car. A taxi followed the noise, turning onto your street. Cove's eyebrows raised at that sight. He sat up straight on the stoop. Oh? This has to be them, right? Yeah, it's gotta be. Now that they were here, you couldn't help but feel just a little bit curious. You wonder what kind of person would be living in the neighborhood for the summer. The taxi pulled to a stop as you expected in front of the now empty condo. It was on the same side of the street as your house, a few buildings further up. Without getting to his feet, Cove tried leaning and tilting his head to get a view of the passenger door as it opened. The single occupant exited the cab. Okay, so it's one person. Huh? What? You could feel what Cove was in that moment. After the last renters, this new visitor was definitely not exactly what you'd expected. Wait, what? What? Okay, who are you? So, who are you? What the heck? You have rings, and you look like an emo or something. I don't know. Nice hair color, I guess. It was a young man, had to be close to your own age. He was dressed fully in an eccentric, black, white, and gray outfit. Even his side-sweeping hair matched the scheme. The only other pop of color was from something you couldn't easily be fashioned into submission. A pair of dark brown eyes, which you caught when he looked over at his audience. Hello, folks. Who might you be? We're the neighbors. The smile already prominent on his face curled further. It was cocky, but you didn't get the impression it meant something adverse. Hallelujah. You and Cove shared a familiar look with one another, bewildered even further. The color-coordinated man left it there, however, and with a firm click, he shut the door of his ride. Then he turned his back to you to retrieve a large, unsurprisingly black suitcase out of the trunk. Does this dude like gray, white, and black? Continuing on with his own business, he strolled forward and lightly tapped on the driver's side window with his knuckles, asking for them to roll it down. When it opened, he leaned down and rested his arm on the edge. You assumed he was thanking the driver for getting him there, considering he slipped him a tip during the brief chat. They shook hands, and he pushed himself up and away from the taxi with both arms, giving the driver room to leave. The taxi pulled away, rolling carefully down the road and out of sight around a corner. The new renter had officially arrived. He left the suitcase on the ground out of the way of the street and sauntered over your way with the confidence of someone who had been invited to join. Cove finally stood up to greet this person. You followed suit.
Excellent.
Okay. I'm Baxter Ward. It's excellent to meet you, neighbors. So this is Baxter. You were standing on the side he was approaching from. When Baxter got close enough, he offered his hand to you first. Okay. Low five. Baxter made it work and twisted his hand to oblige your greeting of choice. Hi, Baxter. I'm Mina. Hey, Mina. I'm quite keen on getting to know you better this summer. We could be good friends. From your other side, Cove made a sudden sputtering noise. And you are? He lifted his hand out to Cove next. Cove shook his hand, still eyeing Baxter carefully. I'm Cove. Oh god, Cove, don't get jealous, please. Baxter's whole demeanor lit up for unknown reasons. His eyes shone as he studied Cove a moment. Now wait, is that a nickname or your real name? It's just my name. Cove spoke mildly, having given that explanation many times in the past, but it clearly charmed Baxter all the same. He tossed his head on one side with a laugh. Your parents knew exactly what they were doing. I can't imagine a more fitting name for the face I'm seeing. Cove, that's gorgeous. Oh, it's really not. No, I'll agree. It suits you. Nice to see someone else knows. The impact might have faded for you living with it this long, but I promise to the onlooker it's a knockout. Cove couldn't face either of you after that. His cheeks were quickly turning bright red with embarrassment. Oh, Cove! You noticed that Baxter looked apologetic over Cove's increased discomfort. I'm sorry, it wasn't intended to mean more than it did. I like your name, but you don't have to mind that. I am patently against stepping on anyone's toes. He chuckled to himself. It seemed there was some extra meaning hidden there in his words, and you noticed that Cove raised an eyebrow, picking up on that too. Cove didn't even open his eyes to see your faces, to know he had some filling to do. He stood up straighter, striking a slight pose at the position of his feet. I'm a ballroom dancer, hence the phrasing. Oh, that's so cool. What the heck? Oh, I don't know much about dancing, but that's pretty cool. It's not hard once he gets the basics down. Cove didn't look convinced at all. Baxter took that as a cue to keep talking. Well. He grinned in a way that was rapidly becoming familiar to you. If either of you are ever looking for a partner, I'm available. Cove peeked at you, smiling softly. You felt his familiar touch as he squeezed your hand for a moment. Oh my god, I already have a partner. Me is the only one I want to dance with. Sorry, she's my girlfriend. You're both together? Yeah, we are. Now that's crushing, but makes sense. I got here too late. Should have taken a semester off sooner. That's a joke, really. I didn't mean to intrude on anything you have with the offer. Why not? Like, it's fine. Cove rolled his eyes at your agreement coming right after his refusal. I really am qualified to give lessons. Yeah, it's fine. After that, there was a long conversation and Cove attempted to fill it. What made you decide on Sunset Bird? Oh yes, well, my parents rented a condo, so I had a place to stay while I'm off for a semester from college and not living in the dorms. Oh, so he's like 20 or something. There was a playful glint in Baxter's eyes as he's continued. Ideally, they wanted to send me somewhere that wasn't too exciting, but lucky for me, they picked the wrong street, considering the two you live here. Baxter then preventively lifted his hands up in front of his chest, giving the gesture for meaning no harm. It's nice not to be the only one my age around the neighborhood for an entire summer, nothing more. That was a story you heard before. The same one as when Lonely Cove and his dad moved in all those years ago. Cove wasn't relating still. You could have phrased it like that in the first place. I don't feel the need to keep words of praise to myself, but they're not romantic come-ons. I see that you two are very much a committed pair. I like to be friends with if we can, but that's all. It's okay. I'm finding it pretty entertaining. Baxter laughed at that. Glad we're working things out. Shifting his weight to his other foot, Baxter tried to move forward. So, which condo is yours? How long you been living together? Oh god, no. Oh, no. Cove sputtered again and unintentionally a laugh escaped you. We're both your neighbors, but we live in different houses with our parents. As if second nature, the two of you pointed to your homes, the buildings directly across the street from each other. Baxter's eyebrows raised at that. Your neighbors who started dating? What a couple of lovebirds. You're the backbone of romantic society. Honestly, I hope you never break up. If you can make it work, there might be a chance for the rest of us. You knew Cove well enough to tell there was a little bit of amusement in his expression, but he sighed in expiration. After that, you had no doubts about his claims of being complimentary. You were really starting to get a kick out of it. Well, if either of you are free, I'd be thrilled to hang out this summer. But we can save the schedule talk for later. I should get my things inside. He gave a small nod of the head and flashed you both a dazzling smile. Goodbye for today. Bye. Cove gave a small wave as well. Bye, Baxter. See you. Oh my god! Baxter then turned on his heels and strode back to his suitcase, picking it up and bringing it to his condo. You and Cove were silent as Baxter unlocked the door and disappeared inside the house. With him completely out of the scene, Cove let a long breath. I don't know how I'm gonna explain that guy to my dad. Oh my god. You burst into a fit of laughter, trying to imagine the conversation. At least the job is done. We saw the new neighbor and now we can go meet up with Terry and Miranda. Yeah, we should get going. You gave Baxter's condo one last glance over your shoulder. You thought he was charming. Let's be real. You really weren't sure when, but at some point Baxter won you over. You were curious to get to know him better. Laughing quietly, you wondered how Baxter would fit in with the rest of the neighborhood. Turning your attention back to Cove, you pushed all the thoughts of Baxter aside. You both started making your way towards town. Aw, take his hand. You slid your palm into his, and Cove laced his fingers with yours. His expression instantly became happier, and he lightly squeezed your hand. A little while later, you and Cove reached the main street in town. All of a sudden, you stopped walking. What's wrong? I think I heard my phone. You dug your cell phone out and looked at it with a satisfied grin. There's a new message. Before you could read it, you were distracted by a small, amused noise from Cove. His head was slightly tilted to the side as he carefully looked at your old keychain. I can't believe we still have that. Of course I do. I love it. Oh! No, Cove. Oh my god. You meant it. The intensity of your words had Cove blushing and looking away from you. For a moment, you were both at a loss for more words. You were sucked into remembering the day he bought it for you. Cove was the one who spoke up again. It's nice. I'm actually glad you like it. He looked back at you with a playful grin. Especially since it cost me a whole $6. That's like $30 in kid money. His matter-of-fact tone had you laughing deep. It took several moments to compose yourself enough to speak. I didn't realize that was the going rate. It was then, probably more now. So you're trying to say that you were a big spender? In kid money, yes. I was definitely a high roller, remember? That had you both laughing. Oh my god. That had you both bursting into fits. Smiling, you refocused on the task at hand. You opened the new text from Miranda and all you saw was, I can see you. Immediately from where you stood, you started swiveling your head around. You couldn't spot Miranda, but she did send you more messages. Oh, this is cool. I saw you holding Cove's hand. Scandalous. Haha, come on. The message was sent and you were back to looking around, scanning for any sign of movement in familiar faces, but they were still invisible. Cove looked at you, carefully raising an eyebrow. You grabbed onto Cove again, wanting to show Miranda how scandalous you could be. What? You sent your own joking text. You burst into... Miranda, come on out. Oh my god. Grab on him. At once you hooked your arms around his neck, still holding your phone, and brought him even closer to you. He blushed and gave you a look mixed with amusement and confusion. Seriously, Mina, what did that message even say? Before you could even begin to explain anything to Cove, you both snapped your attention to the yelling from across the street. And there you saw Miranda and Terry coming out from behind the backside wall of the grocery store. They both started waving wildly to draw even more attention to themselves. Oh. With the grand entrance man, Cove became even more embarrassed about the position you were in and gently removed your hands from him. Cove took a step in their direction. Grinning, he put his hands around his mouth to better project his message across the street. Hey! Laughing and arm in arm, the girls stopped only to look both ways and then rushed across the empty street. Hi, hope you weren't waiting too long.
Hey, buddies.
Hey, buddies. Hi. Hey, I'm so happy to see you two. Now that they were here, the joke on you was already long forgotten in your mind. Terry and Miranda giggled, smiling wide at declaration. Terry then closed the distance between her and Cove and crushed him in a painfully tight hug. You're finally here. It's been so long. What took you? He did his best to eke out a reply with his chest being compressed. Sorry. Eventually, she let him go. Terry looked at him with a beaming smile, but Cove was distracted, rubbing his arms. Standing there, Miranda shifted her weight to her other hip. She watched Cove patiently with a bashful smile. Welcome back. Thanks. It finally felt official. Everyone was together in one place. From here, you weren't sure how often you would have another afternoon like this again. They didn't either. Cove? Terry poked Cove square in his chest. You're gonna have to give me your schedule by this time yesterday. Not really possible, Terry. But I can say as soon as I know. So far, work hasn't said anything, but I can tell you I'm busy with Orca activities. When Cove wasn't at his part-time job or pursuing his academic interests, he volunteered for the Ocean Restoration California Affiliation, ORCA. The group focused on cleaning up beaches and removing pollution from the ocean. Cove always loved the sea. It didn't surprise you one bit when he started getting involved with them. It was Cove's activity. Their big smash event for the year is coming up, right? Isn't it? Or it's coming right up, isn't it? Yeah, but there's not that much more to do before then. But I'm kind of looking forward to the fundraising push. You and I wondering how the event would turn out this year. I knew I could do it, and even if it goes really bad, it'll still look good on a college application at least. That's true. Hey, guess what else? We don't have to stand here to say stuff. Let's go! I'd like a meal now. Perking up, Cove nodded in agreement. Yeah, for sure. The four of you headed into town, happily chatting the whole way. The only decision left to make was where exactly to stop and eat. The rest of the afternoon and evening passed by in a blink of an eye. When I fell, it was time to head home, and you parted ways with Miranda and Terry. You and Cove reached your neighborhood with that event. It was late enough that your out-of-the-way street was dark and silent. Cove was giving you a piggyback ride home. It was a long day out and about. You appreciate that you could rely on him to make things more comfortable for you. You tightened your grip on Cove and turned your head ever so slightly, peering at his face out of the corner of your eyes. You wondered why he felt so distant to you. It was out of character. Oh, God. For a while, Cove silently stared ahead and left you alone with your own thoughts. It surprised you when you did hear his voice all of a sudden. He still wouldn't look at you. It feels weird coming back to the neighborhood and trying to get into things like they're the same. And they're not. They've changed. They're still changing. Your mouth felt uncomfortably dry all of a sudden. It was true. The things that kept the people you knew together were starting to disappear. Each person had to make their own priorities and their own path now that it wasn't set for them. You thought about your own immediate future. If you had to choose in this very moment you wanted. Ooh. To go to school part-time and to work part-time. And to focus on time that's not school or work. And that was the basics. For your career, you thought you'd start your own business. And that was all. For your education, you thought you'd go to a private college, take online classes, and that was all. For yourself, you wanted to try to figure out what you truly wanted. Work on self-improvement on your own and take some time to just relax. And for that, you wanted to travel around to different places, go abroad, go out of state, go to a different part of the state, or stay local. I don't know. Go abroad, probably. It'd all be happening so soon. You'd already applied to schools and jobs. And Cove was the only person who knew. Now you wonder what Cove had in mind. You heard and considered some things for his future, but it was never anything that would have counted as a real plan. Cove stopped in the middle of the street. He sighed and put you down. You were both outside your houses. Cove looked at the ground for a moment. His mouth trembled, trying to settle on the right words to say. So, are you still thinking about relaxing for a while and stuff abroad? Yeah. Cove closed his eyes and nodded while he composed his thoughts. He looked at you and he lifted his head. I decided on something. Well, kind of. He smiled slightly and rubbed his arm, and then his expression grew more serious. Oh God, I'm not ready for this. I'm not going to decide on a school or a career. Not this summer. I'm going to stay here. At least in Sunset Bird, I'll probably move out of my dad's place. I'll keep working my job, keep doing my volunteer stuff, and everything else. Maybe I'll know what I want for myself by fall, or next year, or maybe I'll never have a plan. Life will continue on with what's ever happening. I'm not going to crush myself trying to have everything figured out by a timeline that someone else has set. I just can't do it. His brow furrowed and his tone was tense. It was clear how much expectations were weighing on him. I know that's not very exciting, but it's the best I can do right now. He laughed self-divergently, but with the way his face looked, you thought he actually wanted to cry. You started crying. I'll miss you. Your voice cracked getting the words out, but you didn't care. Your whole body felt like it was cracking under the weight of the future. His voice Oh my god, no. You're gonna make me cry. I'm crying. His face crumbled and your original assumption was proven correct as tears easily began to fall from his eyes. His chest heaved and his words were whispered. I'm sorry. No matter what's happening, I just want you. Oh my god, how can you get so immersed in that game where you're crying for a character? I want you to know that you won't ever lose me. I won't really be gone. I'll still be there for you the best I can, whether it's long distance or whatever else. Cope's whole expression softened. His lips pulled into an affectionate smile.
It's okay.
Mina, you deserve to have everything you want in life. You're the only thing I want. It came out softly, almost a whisper. You could hear your heart drumming loudly in your ears. Looking at you fondly, Cope took a step closer. He then brought a hand to your face, cupping your cheek, dottingly his thumb lightly brushed your skin, and a shiver shot down your spine. He spoke to you softly, wholeheartedly. He meant every word. Things are hard right now. It scares me, but it'll be okay. It'll be more than okay. Now that things are up to us, we can make our lives better than they ever were. You believed him. Oh my god. No matter how daunting the future could be, he was right. You would be okay. Finally, your eyes stopped overflowing with tears, and you could meet Cope's gaze clearly. You nodded. At that, his expression was morphed into a look of careful confidence. Clearly, he was still struggling with this topic, and you wondered what else might be on his mind. This was a start, I think, but it's not over, is it? We'll have to keep talking about it going forward. Yeah. Cope slightly reiterated his promise. It'll all be okay. We'll still always be there for each other. Is that good with you? It is. Cool. That's cool. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow, Mina. I'll see you. Night. He pulled you into an unexpected hug. It knocked the breath out of you, yet couldn't have been a more reassuring feeling. You returned his embrace and stayed that way for as long as you could.
Good night.
Night. He finally let go, giving you another smile. Then Cope started walking away, but you remained there, frozen in the middle of the street. You watched him and wondered how many more times will he be able to say that he'll see you tomorrow. He hoped for countless more times. Finally, you turned towards your own house. You vowed to yourself that you would make the most out of every moment you had this summer. Oh my god. That made me cry. Not a lot of games can make me cry. Just saying. How can you get so immersed in a game and just have an attachment to it and then just for it to, I don't know, be ripped away from you? It's not a good feeling at all. But this is where I'm going to end today's video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. But lastly, you're Jim. Thank you for watching. A wonderful day, everyone.